The next global power struggle isn't in space or on land. It's happening deep below the surface, at the bottom of the ocean. Inside the crushing darkness of the Mariana Trench, scientists have uncovered something that changes everything. This isn't just a discovery. It's a weapon, a resource, and a race all at once.
Really hard to know what these marks are.
Are they even underwater, or are they just reflections off the top of the surface of the water?
It's almost like something is digging into the sea bottom.
What they found could rewrite the balance of global power for the next 100 years. Nations are already moving to claim it, and what happens next will decide who controls the future. The descent into the unknown. Imagine a scar on the ocean floor so vast it could swallow the Grand Canyon whole. This is the Mariana Trench. It sits in the western Pacific, a silent underwater canyon stretching for more than 2,500 kilometers. But its true secret isn't its length, it's its depth. We're going down to a point known as the Challenger Deep. The bottom here is nearly 11 kilometers below the surface. To understand that distance, try this picture in your mind. Take Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on land, and drop it into the trench. The craggy, icy peak of Everest would still be more than a mile beneath you, hidden by a crushing column of black water. Now, let's descend. The first part is familiar. Sunlight dances through blue water. This is where we swim, where coral reefs bloom and dolphins play. But this comfortable, warm layer is just a thin skin. It ends after about 200 meters. We push deeper into the twilight. The blue fades to a dim, murky gray, and then to an inky black. The pressure is already building, squeezing with a force that would feel like 10 of our atmospheres pressing on every inch of you. This is a world of ghosts and strange shapes. Fish with bodies like jelly and teeth like needles. We keep sinking. Soon, every last speck of sunlight is gone. We have entered the midnight zone. The only light comes from the creatures themselves, a living constellation of blinking, glowing, and flashing lights in the endless dark. The pressure here is 100 times what we feel at the surface. It's the weight of an entire elephant, balanced perfectly on your fingernail, and we haven't even reached the main event. We are still just visitors in the upstairs rooms of a house that plunges miles deeper. For the longest time, this place was a total mystery. Its existence was first hinted at by the Challenger expedition in the 1870s, a crew of brave explorers who dropped a weighted rope over the side of a ship and found no bottom. It took until 1960 for humans to finally touch this deepest point. Two men, Jacques Picard and Don Walsh, crammed into a tiny, tough sphere, made the terrifying descent. They spent 20 minutes on the bottom, in total darkness, their submersible creaking under the strain. For decades after, these visits were like trips to another planet, rare, expensive, and incredibly dangerous. We assumed it was a silent, barren wasteland, a desert at the bottom of the sea. But we were wrong. Something is happening down there right now. New missions are returning with discoveries so profound, they don't just rewrite biology textbooks. What they've just found in the Mariana Trench is a hidden reality that could shake the foundations of global power and change the course of our future. An unfathomable world of hidden life. For centuries, we thought the bottom of the Mariana Trench was a silent, barren wasteland, a desert of mud under endless night. But now we know the truth, and the truth is, it's teeming with life. This isn't just about finding a few strange new fish. This is a revolution in our understanding of life itself. The key to this discovery is a massive, years-long scientific effort known as the Mir Project. Its mission was simple, but its ambition was huge: to finally uncover what is really happening in the deepest, darkest parts of our ocean. Using one of the most advanced submersibles in the world, the Chinese vessel Fenduje, which means striver, sank into the darkness again and again. It didn't just go down for a quick look. It became a deep-sea vacuum cleaner, collecting over 1,600 samples of sediment from the trench floor, from depths that would crush a nuclear submarine. When scientists back in the lab analyzed this treasure trove of mud, what they found was staggering. It wasn't just dirt, it was a hidden universe. Locked within those samples were 7,564 different kinds of microbes. And get this, almost 90% of them were completely new to science. That means that in one single study, we nearly doubled our knowledge of the types of life that can exist in these extreme places. The data from this project was so vast, it was 10 times larger than all the deep-sea genetic information we had ever collected before. They didn't just find a few new species, they found an entire hidden kingdom. But the real question is, how? How does anything survive down there? The pressure is 1,000 times greater than at the surface. It's cold, It's dark, and there's no sunlight to power life. It turns out the life down there isn't just surviving, it's perfectly engineered for it. These deep-sea microbes have incredible biological superpowers. To cope with the toxic waste that builds up in their cells under such immense stress, they have supercharged antioxidant systems. Think of them as having a tiny biological shield that protects them from their own harsh environment. Their most crucial superpower, though, is their ability to fix themselves. The crushing pressure and cold can literally tear their DNA apart. But these microbes have what scientists call a beefed-up DNA repair system. It's like they have an army of microscopic mechanics working 24/7 to patch up any damage, keeping their genetic blueprint in perfect shape. Without this, they would simply fall apart. And perhaps the strangest trick of all? Their diet. These microbes can eat things we thought were poisonous garbage. They possess unique genes that allow them to break down nasty chemicals, like toluene, a substance we use in paint thinners and manufacturing, and use it as food. They are the ultimate recyclers, thriving on a menu that would kill almost anything else. And where there is food, larger creatures will follow. This brings us to the giants of the deep. The Hadal Zone has its own iconic animals, perfectly adapted monsters that seem to defy logic. There's the Hadal snailfish, a pale, ghost-like creature that swims effortlessly in the darkness. It doesn't have a hard bone in its body. Its skeleton is made of soft, flexible cartilage, letting the pressure squeeze it without breaking it. It's like a deep-sea noodle, built to bend, not break. Then there are the Hadal amphipods. Imagine a shrimp, but grown to the size of your foot. These are aggressive scavengers, the vultures of the abyss, swarming any piece of food that drifts down from above. And scientists recently discovered a secret that many of these deep-sea fish share. They all have a common genetic mutation, a tiny tweak in their instruction manual that lets their cells build proteins correctly under the immense distorting force of the pressure. It's a universal key for survival in the deep. Without it, their essential machinery would malfunction and they would die. So this is the new reality of the Mariana Trench. It is not a dead zone. It is a thriving, vibrant, and unbelievably strange ecosystem. It's a world built on microbial superpowers, supporting a food web of flexible fish and giant shrimp. And now that we know what's really down there, the race for what comes next has already begun. Resources and biological gold mines. So, we have this incredible, newly discovered world of life at the bottom of the sea. It's a scientific wonder, but that immediately leads to a very simple and very human question. So what? Why are nations spending billions to go down there? The answer is that the Mariana Trench isn't just a biological treasure chest. It's a strategic one, and the life forms themselves are the first and most valuable resource. Think about the superpowers these microbes have. They have incredible DNA repair kits and supercharged antioxidant systems built into their cells. Now imagine if we could borrow those tricks for ourselves. For scientists developing new drugs to fight diseases like cancer, or to slow down the aging process in our own cells, these deep-sea microbes are a living, breathing goldmine. They offer blueprints for new medicines that we could never have invented on our own. But it gets even wilder. The same pressure-resistant proteins that keep these creatures from being crushed could revolutionize manufacturing. They could be used to create super-strong materials or new industrial chemicals, and space agencies are incredibly interested. They are actively studying these adaptations, hoping they might one day help protect astronauts from the physical stresses of long-term space travel. The key to surviving the final frontier might be locked away at the bottom of our ocean. Of course, not all the treasures are biological. Littering the seafloor, there are strange potato-sized rocks called polymetallic nodules. They look humble, but inside they are packed with metals we desperately need for our modern world: cobalt, nickel, copper, and manganese. These are the essential ingredients for the batteries in our electric cars, our smartphones, and our renewable energy grids. They are the building blocks of the future, and they're just sitting there, scattered across the abyss. Then there's the weirdest resource of all: fire ice. Its real name is methane hydrate, and it looks like dirty frozen slush. But bring it to the surface, and you can literally set it on fire. It's a potential energy source locked in ice, but extracting it is like playing with a geological grenade. Disturbing the seabed to get it could trigger massive underwater landslides. Even worse, it could release enormous plumes of methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide, catapulting it into the ocean and atmosphere, and accelerating climate change in a way we can't predict. The prize is huge, but the risk is even bigger. This brings us to the real heart of the new gold rush. In the 21st century, oil and coal are not the only sources of power. Information is power, and genetic information is the ultimate currency. The country that can first catalog, understand, and patent the genetic codes of these deep-sea extremophiles gains a monumental head start. Whoever owns the blueprint for a super-efficient DNA repair enzyme could dominate the future of medicine. Whoever understands how to use a deep-sea protein for industrial manufacturing could corner a billion-dollar market. This isn't science fiction. It is the new reality of economic competition. The Mir project made its vast data set public, which was a gift to global science. But the race to convert that raw data into real-world products and profit has only just begun. It's a silent, high-stakes race happening in laboratories and corporate boardrooms around the world. The deep sea is no longer a place for just curiosity. It has become a strategic chessboard. On one side, there is the promise of medical breakthroughs, new energy, and futuristic technology. On the other, there is the raw mineral wealth needed to power our modern civilization. The nation that can master this environment won't just be rich, it will hold the keys to the next century of human progress. But this rush for riches comes with a terrifying cost, one that we are only beginning to understand. A fragile frontier. There is a terrible irony to the Mariana Trench. The very conditions that created its unique life, the immense pressure, the cold, the darkness, also make it incredibly fragile. This is not a resilient ecosystem that bounces back quickly. It is a world in slow motion where a single scar can last for centuries. The most immediate threat comes from the hunt for those valuable nodules. The machines designed to mine them are like underwater bulldozers. A giant robotic collector will crawl across the seafloor, scooping up the top layer of sediment to grab the rocks. But in doing so, it churns up enormous, suffocating clouds of fine dirt. These plumes of sediment are the equivalent of a deep-sea dust storm. They can drift for kilometers in the still water, silently smothering everything in their path. They can clog the gills of animals, bury filter feeders alive, and wipe out entire communities of creatures we have only just discovered. Scientists are issuing a stark warning. The damage from just one mining operation could be irreversible. In an environment this slow-moving, where food is scarce and growth takes decades, the seafloor may not recover for 1,000 years. We could be on the verge of erasing species we never even knew existed, destroying habitats that took millions of years to form, all before we truly understand them. But perhaps the most shocking discovery is that the damage has already begun. We have managed to pollute the deepest, most remote place on the planet without even setting up a single mine. Imagine descending for hours, finally reaching the ultimate depth of the Challenger Deep, the most isolated spot on Earth. What is the first thing you see? In 2022, that's exactly what happened to oceanographer Dawn Wright. Her first sight, there at the very bottom, was a beer bottle. It's a powerful and depressing symbol of how far our reach extends, and that's just what we can see. The problem is much deeper. Deep-sea cameras have recorded a plastic bag drifting at a depth of 35,000 feet. Even more alarming is the invisible pollution microplastics, tiny fragments of broken-down plastic, have been found inside the bodies of the trench's own inhabitants. These animals have evolved over millions of years to survive incredible pressure, but now they are ingesting our plastic waste. The pollution is chemical too. A few years ago, researchers found extremely high levels of banned toxic chemicals, known as PCBs, in shrimp-like creatures from the trench. They were banned decades ago, but they have settled into the deep sea, persisting in the environment and entering the food web. This changes everything. It shatters the comforting idea that the deep ocean is a pristine sanctuary, a place untouched by human hands. The evidence is now undeniable. There is no escape. Our waste has reached the ends of the earth. The deepest point in the ocean is no longer a wilderness, it is a landfill. So we face a critical choice. We are standing at the edge of a new frontier, armed with powerful technology. We can choose to repeat the same mistakes we made on land, rushing in to grab resources with little regard for the long-term consequences, destroying fragile ecosystems before we even comprehend their value. Or we can learn from our past. The Mariana Trench is sending us a message in a plastic bottle. It is a warning that our actions have a global reach, and a plea to handle this last great wilderness with care. The decisions we make now will determine whether this mysterious world is preserved as a source of wonder and discovery, or becomes just another casualty of our carelessness. And the race to control this fragile frontier is already heating up. The new oceanic race. A quiet race is unfolding in the deepest dark of the ocean. It's not a race with a clear starting line, but a slow, strategic push into the abyss. And the nations and organizations that win this race won't just win a trophy, they will gain the power to control the future of the deep. At the forefront of this push is China, and their approach is not about occasional trips. It is about building a permanent presence. Their flagship submersible, the Fendusia, or Striver, is a marvel of engineering. It can carry 3 people to the very bottom of the trench and support them for hours. But the real story is what comes next. China is rapidly shifting from these dramatic manned missions to something far more scalable: fleets of small, autonomous robots. Think of it like this. Instead of sending one school bus down to the bottom, they are sending a swarm of 100 smart cars. These robots can work together, covering huge areas of the seafloor for a fraction of the cost. They are building repetition, turning the impossible into the routine. And their most ambitious plan is straight out of science fiction. A scientific outpost is being constructed to operate permanently on the ocean floor, deeper than 16 Eiffel Towers stacked end to end. This underwater space station is destined for the South China Sea at a depth of 2,000 meters. Scheduled for operation by 2030, the station will act as a home base for marine exploration. Its main goal is scientific, allowing small crews of up to 6 researchers to live there for a month at a time. From this unique point, they will study deep-sea life, search for energy resources, and monitor environmental changes. Construction has already begun in Guangzhou. Once completed, this pioneering habitat will open a new chapter in our ability to understand and inhabit the deep ocean. The American approach offers a striking contrast. The United States has declared the Mariana Trench a national monument, a protected area. This frames the trench first and foremost as a place of science and conservation. The effort here is led by groups like the Ocean Exploration Trust, which runs the ship EV Nautilus. Their mission, heavily supported by U.S. agencies, is to map and characterize the monument. They use remote-operated vehicles to broadcast their dives live to the world, inviting scientists and the public to watch alongside them. This model is open, collaborative, and focused on understanding the ecosystem before exploiting it. It is a crucial and valuable mission. But where China's strategy is like building a new highway into uncharted territory, the American-led model is like creating a detailed, shared map for everyone to use. One is about building a dominant presence. The other is about leading a global scientific conversation. But this is not a simple 2-player game. The field is crowded with other serious contenders. For decades, Japan has had one of the world's most advanced deep-sea programs. With submersibles that have compiled a vast library of deep ocean imagery, Russia, too, has a long history of oceanographic research that continues to this day. And then there are the private players. The millionaire explorer Viktor Vescovo didn't just go to the bottom once he built his own submersible, and went down again and again, setting new records and proving that private capital can now operate at the highest levels of deep-sea exploration. So, the race is not just about who can touch the bottom first. That race is over. The new race is about who can operate there most effectively. It is about who collects the most valuable data, who perfects the most reliable technology, and who establishes a presence that allows them to call the shots. The winner of this race will hold a powerful hand. They will have first access to all the biological and mineral riches we just discussed. They will set the standards for what is allowed, deciding the balance between profit and protection. The deep sea is the next great global commons, and right now, the world is deciding who gets to write the rules. The actions taking place today in the crushing silence of the Mariana Trench will echo for centuries, shaping the balance of power, the pace of technology, and the fate of the largest ecosystem on our planet. Beyond the ocean. The story of the Mariana Trench doesn't end at the bottom of the ocean. In many ways, it's just the beginning. What we are learning down there is forcing us to look up at the rest of our solar system and to think differently about life itself. Scientists are starting to see the Hadal Zone as a practice run for exploring other worlds, specifically the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn like Europa and Enceladus. These moons are not barren rocks. They are giant frozen balls hiding vast, liquid oceans beneath their icy crusts. They are the most likely places to find alien life in our solar system, but what would that life look like? The Mariana Trench provides the best guess. At the bottom of the trench, there are places called cold seeps, where chemicals like methane and hydrogen sulfide leak from the seafloor. These chemicals support entire ecosystems of mussels, tube worms, and bacteria that don't need a single ray of sunlight. They thrive on chemistry alone. This is exactly the kind of life scientists hope to find on those distant dark oceans. The trench is a living laboratory, showing us what to search for billions of miles away. The connection isn't just about biology, it's about hardware. The autonomous robots being built right now to glide through the trench's crushing pressure and total darkness are the direct ancestors of the probes we will one day send to swim in the subsurface ocean of Europa. The technology to survive and explore in one impossible environment is being perfected for another. Every dive into the trench is a test flight for a future mission to another world. And the discoveries from projects like the Mir study do something even more profound. They push the very boundaries of what we consider life. Finding organisms that can repair their own DNA under immense pressure or eat toxic chemicals for dinner forces us to rewrite the rules of biology. This new rulebook is essential for astrobiology, the search for life beyond Earth. We can't find it if we don't know what it might look like. Finally, the trench holds a deep secret about our own planet's health. The deep sea is one of Earth's most powerful natural climate regulators. For millions of years, a constant shower of marine snow, the tiny remains of dead plants and animals from the surface, has been falling to the seabed layer by layer. This organic snow has buried and locked away colossal amounts of carbon. It's a natural carbon sink that has helped balance our atmosphere for eons. This puts all our ambitions in the deep sea in a terrifying new light. The same mining machines that scrape for nodules, or the drills that might extract fire ice, could violently disturb this ancient, stable system. They could kick up these buried carbon stores and release them back into the ocean and atmosphere, triggering a chain reaction we cannot predict and cannot control. The choice at the bottom of the world. So, here we are, standing at the edge of the final unknown on our own planet. The discoveries in the Mariana Trench have changed the game completely. The Mariana Trench holds the keys to the future, the biological blueprints for new medicines and technologies, the critical metals for our clean energy transition, and the potential for new energy sources. It offers fundamental knowledge about how life can survive, both on Earth and potentially on other worlds. This isn't just about what we can take, it's about what we can learn. This is why the quiet race to the bottom has such loud consequences. The nation or group that dominates this frontier gains what can only be called deep power. This means control over the next wave of scientific innovation. It means first access to unimaginable resources. And most importantly, it means the ability to single-handedly write the rulebook for the last great wilderness on Earth. This is the real geopolitical rewrite. The balance of power in the 21st century will not be shaped only by what happens on land or in space, but by what happens in the crushing depths of the ocean. We now face a fundamental choice. One path looks like our old history books, a frantic, competitive rush, where nations and corporations plunder the depths in a race to grab what they can. This path leads to irreversible damage, to silent ecosystems wiped out before we even understand them, and to a new era of conflict over the spoils at the bottom of the sea. But there is another path. We have a precedent. Decades ago, during the height of the space race, the world was locked in a fierce competition to dominate the cosmos. But from that competition, something extraordinary emerged: the International Space Station. Former rivals decided to cooperate, to build a single outpost for all humanity, dedicated to science and discovery. It proved that even in the most competitive environments, we can choose collaboration over conflict. The Mariana Trench presents us with the same choice, but on a much tighter deadline. Will it become a new colonial territory, plundered in a reckless rush? Or can it become a model for a new kind of international stewardship? The discoveries there are a wake-up call. They show us both breathtaking life and sobering pollution, a clear warning of our power to destroy even the most remote places. The choice we make today, as a global community, will define the next century. It will affect the health of our planet, the stability of our climate, and the balance of global power. The deep sea is the last great shared commons on Earth. We can approach it with old rivalries and short-term greed, ensuring that its riches for a few come at a cost to us all. Or we can choose the harder, more visionary path, to explore with caution, to mine with immense care, and to protect this mysterious world as a shared heritage for all future generations. The power to rewrite global power is indeed hidden in the Mariana Trench. But that power isn't just in the resources or the biological secrets. The real power is the choice itself. The question is whether we will use this moment to repeat the mistakes of our past, or to finally build a better future. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.